Brought to you by American Pistachios.
So hello and welcome to Sports Suck. And one good thing about Champions League is we get to witness a superb footballing action. And for talking about Champions League final, Manchester City versus Inter Milan, we have a very special guest with us. He's also one of the panelists of Sony Sports, Ashley Westwood. Ashley, welcome back and welcome on Sports Suck.
Hi, mate. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Manchester City versus Inter Milan. Inter Milan, after 13 years in the finals, what do you think of this team, Italian side against English side?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough night for Inter Milan, if I'm being honest. They deserve to get here. They've had some good results. Defensively, they're quite solid. They like to attack as well. They're not just a defensive side that don't like to go forward. But you only have to look at the results and the form that Manchester City in. They out-possession every team they come up against. They're very flexible with a defensive strategy and then a different strategy for attacking. They get so many numbers forward. They've got so many world-class players. I just can't see anything but a Manchester City win, if I'm being honest.
As you said about Manchester City's game performance, they've been banging on the door of Champions League for quite some time. But do you think this will be their years?
I think it will. They've found a bit of a different system this season. Like I've mentioned, it's a 4-4-2 system when they defend. But then John Stones steps into the midfield and they play three at the back, two holding midfielders with Rodri and Stones, four kind of across the middle with Grealish, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan and De Bruyne, and then Haaland up front. So they kind of get five bodies forward. But the two holding midfielders gives them a little bit of extra security where they can win the second balls and keep pressure on sides. And they look to be defending fantastically. They're getting incredible amounts of goals. And it's just going to be a very tough night because you can't see a weekly link in this Manchester City side.
One good thing about Manchester City is that they have many match winners, game changers. Every time Manchester City is playing any team, the other team is must be planning to stop Erling Haaland. But we have seen FA Cup final also, how Ilkay Gundogan came and how he scored both the goals. What Inter Milan must be thinking to face this midfield of Manchester City, where they'll be facing Gundogan also, Kevin De Bruyne also.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be finding it tough because, like I've mentioned, with Stones going from central defence to centre midfield when they have possession, that gives them two holding midfielders. It gives them two number 10s with De Bruyne and Gundogan, which gives them four. And if you look at Inter Milan with Barella, Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan, that's a 4v3. And then at times, Haaland drops deep, which gives them five centrally against a midfield three. So that's going to be very tough for Inter Milan. They have got Barella, who's athletic, quick, can get around the pitch. It's going to be a big night for him because he's going to be asked to cover lots and lots of ground, as is Dumfries and DeMarco, because they're, the extra two that makes it a five-man defence. But they have to get forward very quickly to make sure they get the balls into the box, crosses to try and find the big tall Dzeko, and Martin is picking up little bits around him. So it's definitely going to be a tough night. Inter Milan will have to defend flawlessly. They'll have to defend in numbers. They'll have to pack as a back five, but they'll have to spring very quickly into defence and hopefully catch Manchester City in an attacking sense before they settle into their 4-4-2. So there is an opportunity. There is chances for Inter Milan, but like you've mentioned, you stop Haaland and Grealish or Bernardo Silva hurts you. You stop those two, Gundogan, De Bruyne hurts you. You stop all five of those and they make a substitution with a Phil Foden or on Alvarez or anybody of those, Mahrez even on the right-hand side. The options on the bench are huge as well. So it's just, it's 12 rounds of boxing, isn't it? If you're going to beat Manchester City and you're going to take a lot of punches and hopefully you can land one sucker punch and get your defence right.
So are you saying midfield will be the key for the final win?
I think so. I think the way Man City, get possession of the ball, the way they find Gundogan and De Bruyne in different spaces, the way that Grealish holds wide and Bernardo Silva holds wide, they really stretch teams right across the pitch, but they have the numbers centrally to keep the pressure on. And then, like I've mentioned, the security of 2 holding midfielders and 3 big central defenders defending. It's almost like 5-5. And they get numbers right across the pitch, which makes it hard for you to pick the ball up. But certainly the midfield battle is going to be key.
Okay, so Manchester City have already won the Premier League title also and the FA Cup also. They need Champions League to secure the treble. Do you think this will be in their mind, or can this hurt them?
Yeah, I think even if you watch the FA Cup final at the weekend, they didn't play at 100 miles an hour. I think once they got themselves in front, they played very conservatively because it's all about the Champions League. Everybody always says it's about the next game. The next game is the most important. But because it is such a significant and historic achievement to win the treble, if they are to win it, obviously only Manchester United has ever done it. It does play on your mind, and you do save a little bit of energy, which I've seen in the cup final. And I think they'll be, throwing everything at Inter Milan. And I fear for Inter Milan, because when Man City are on song, we see them score 7 against Leipzig. We've seen them put Real Madrid to the sword. They can hurt anyone when they play at full throttle. And I expect them to be like that in the final.
Yeah, especially when they have beaten Bayern and Real Madrid also. But I was reading somewhere, and Simeone Inzaghi said that I don't fear Manchester City. I have everything in my team, every players in my team. And I don't need to fear Manchester City. Will play rock strong.
Yeah, I mean, he has to say that. He has to keep positive. He has to give something. Inter Milan have shown. They've shown mental strength this season. They've shown mental character. And that's because Inzaghi's instilling it. He has to instill that belief. He has to make sure they go to that stadium, convinced that they're going to win it. I don't think people thought they would beat AC Milan. I don't think people thought that they would beat Benfica. So they've showed that resilience to come through those games. And they need to do it again against Man City. They will go there with nothing to lose, I suppose, nothing to fear. But deep down, they'll know they're up against one, if not the best side I think I've ever seen at club football.
Okay, last 2 questions. If I ask you to make a 7-a-side team combining these 2 teams, what will be your picks? 7 players.
I would find it almost impossible to not put all Manchester City players in, if I'm being honest. And if I was a manager and I had to pick any of them, I would definitely have Haaland, De Bruyne, Gundogan. I would definitely have John Stones, whose flexibility. I'd definitely have Diaz, because obviously he's been one of the best central defenders. So there's 5 gone already. I would have Edison if he was fit in goal, because I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper, better than Onana. And then you've only got 1 left. And if you're looking at attacking wise, if you want to play 2 defenders with Stones, 2 midfielders and 2 attackers, then you need 1 more attacker. And Jack Grealish is magnificent. Possibly for the blend, if he was going to play 2-2-2 with 1 goalkeeper, maybe you could find Martinez in there as a forward. But for me, it's all Man City. It sounds biased, but I just think they've been performing incredibly well. And they're the best side on paper. They're the best side individually. And I think they're the best side collectively.
And according to you, what will be the prediction of the match, goal scoring wise?
I can see it being a big night for Manchester City. I can't see them conceding too many. I think it could be, 3 or 4-0 in Manchester City's favour.
Oh, that's surprising. Let's see how it goes and which ways it goes, the Manchester City or Inter Milan. Thanks for talking to us, Ashley.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And for all you can watch Champions League final only on Sony Sports. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
मैच से जुड़े आपके हर सवाल का हम देंगे जवाब। जानने के लिए हर अपडेट, लाइव एनालिसिस, स्पेशल इंटरव्यूज, डाउनलोड कीजिए स्पोर्ट्स तक ऐप।